What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Jobbers and Goons, and today I'm doing a quick video to brush up on a recent death battle for this week's Who Will Win. And I'm looking forward to it. And today I brought a special guest on, and he is major for those that enjoy scaling for mythology, because that's mainly what he does on his channel. His name's Reality Spine. I call him Kua, but go ahead and say what's up.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy, Reality Spine. Splash here calls me Kua, but mortals know that you do not have the right to call me that quite yet. Yeah, what's up, guys? I scale mythology. I touch up on like around kind of like religious stuff too, but I'm not here to preach to you. But yeah, that's what I do on my channel. So go check me out.
Yeah, and like I said, if you guys enjoy content like this, based around mythology and stuff like that, definitely check his channel out, as he is a member of the coffee shop. But what we're going to do today is talk about this battle, review some of the points we have written down for, where we kind of disagree with Death Battle. Overall, it wasn't a bad battle between the two, but again, there are some things they missed, and there are some things that should have been home runs for them. First thing we're going to talk about is, and by the way, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's run the likes up to like 400 likes. That'd be amazing. But too obvious of a mismatch is kind of what we're going to talk about here. And what we mean by that is, and Reality's kind of brought this up to me before this recording, is that they basically, even to the casual viewer, kind of make it apparent through some context clues throughout the episode that Sun Wukong was going to beat the shit out of Hercules. And I'll kind of let Reality Spine give his take on that point.
Yeah. Um, Even before, even like literally right after the Tetsuo versus Magneto battle, just like within the trailer, and even leading up to that, um, a lot of people just like both of these guys being cultural icons. Like, at first it kind of started off like both of these guys would be generally even, but like the minute they released out like those single videos where like they give a little preview into both of their breakdowns, slowly all the way up to the battle, it just became more and more apparent that like how busted just Wukong is in the end. Some people still held on to, like, oh yeah, Herc is gonna be stronger because of his like God of Strength title and stuff. But yeah, it just became more and more apparent that like Wukong was just gonna really stomp in this battle.
Yeah, and like when you have a battle like that, I don't think it's that interesting. I think it's kind of tough to do that, and kind of still try to get people drawn into it. It is definitely a stomp. I'd never personally do this battle. Um, but again, they went for it, and you could probably just argue, oh, they went with what fans want. Again, you could probably find a better matchup for Sun Wukong. I'd put him against someone like Kratos. I think that'd be fun. But this particular matchup, they kind of made it obvious that it's a mismatch. Next point we kind of talked about before this is they kind of lumped together strength feats, that is, both characters lifted heavens from their verses. But what makes this inaccurate or kind of misleading of a thing to do is the fact that the verses aren't congruent. Like, their cosmology, structure of reality, structure of the universe, structure of the heavens is not entirely the same for both. It's literally different mythologies. So trying to kind of compare those two as if they're exactly the same can be a bit misleading, because in Buddhism, heaven and the layers with it, it's a lot more articulated, in my opinion, than the layering of heaven in Greek mythology. I don't know if reality disagrees or not, but it's probably a better argument for Buddhist heaven being higher.
Um, yeah, like even with my very limited knowledge on like Buddhism, just if you're even just basing this off of like base Chinese mythology, both of the verses should already be like comparable relative, if not even like the Chinese one pulling through with like even concepts in the verse such as like yin and yang being like very explicit like dualities. Now I personally myself have as you guys know have been doing some pretty deep digging for the Greek side, and even in my opinion, even at their most like kind of highest state of scaling, like they just don't compare to like the layers and like just the size of even just like one cosmological structure such as heaven and the and at least the journey to the west verse, which is probably a weird composite mishmash, but still very culturally relevant.
Yeah, and that kind of brings into the next point, which is the fact that like Journey to the West is a little more complicated than just one book. In fact, it could be considered a novel and like a composite verse with other works, and they don't really brush up on that aspect. The reason it's important is there's so much more added to what Sun Wukong scales to and what he brings to the table from these different works that it's a major game changer. So it does need to be acknowledged. What do you think about this part, the composite verse aspect?
Um, yeah, this is initially a point that me and Splash had discussed before. It's something that kind of came to my mind kind of at the last minute. Um, not saying that Journey to the West isn't as important as all the other Chinese works, but technically yes, it is a novel, and this author is kind of compiling together like many different like philosophies and religions of like China itself. Like even just taking out Buddhism, like Taoism already has like plenty like outer versal arguments within itself. So like already like you're contending with like a composite verse that's just way outscales at the very least average Greek mythology, and even at its higher states, I would say. So this was kind of a point that I feel that we're kind of not doing the audience enough justice in really knowing this context. So I think the audience kind of just goes away that much more ignorant in the end. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. I definitely get where you're coming from on that one. I mean, if it's a lot more complex, you should definitely at least mention it. Next point we kind of talked about was they kind of brushed off Hercules' durability and his types of immortality. This obviously would be attributed to his Olympic nature, which they did show God forms. This is important. We're not saying, he's slugging it out in the pocket with Sun Wukong. What we're saying is his durability is a lot better than what they brought up, as well as he does have a pretty good healing factor due to his godly nature. So he is a lot more impressive in terms of what he can take and what he can endure. And they kind of brushed that off. I know it's a stomp, but you could at least like let the audience know, like, hey, even if this character beats him up, like his durability in regions, no joke. What do you think of Herc's durability?
Yeah, they kind of do Herc kind of bad in this battle. Um, like even though at first I thought before that they would just be using their first forms, they explicitly mention Herc's god form. Like literally at the end of his life, he attained godhood, and even just basic Olympian physiology should at least give him like at least one layer of immortality with like a pretty nuts healing factor that I wouldn't say like is on Wukong's level, but like is pretty up there. So like kind of like denying Herc this and kind of even being inconsistent, but like literally at the last minute showing their god forms. I think kind of sets things off in everyone's just expectations how this would go through.
True, yeah. The next point besides durability is kind of a win con we disagreed with. with the hydro poison. Now they kind of talk about Hercules, his hydro poison being able to hurt gods, so it could hurt Sun Wukong. The logic tree they tried to plant here was essentially Buddha was hurt by a poison at one point, so the hydro poison could hurt Sun Wukong. That's a little more complicated than they did. Like, as you guys probably know, that's really simple, and it takes away from the different layerings in the verse and how each verse scales different. Which I guess we can just tie into right now, point 6, which is like lack of context and feats for the cosmologies. You can't just say one thing equals the other because they have the same name from each verse. That's a name fallacy. Just because they share a similar title doesn't mean they scale the same. I'm going to kind of let Realities talk about how hurting Buddha is a lot more impressive than what the Hydro Poison did.
Yeah, guys. I'll start off with like on the poison Buddha point, and then kind of expound out onto point 6, which is just the general lack of context and feats for both cosmologies, which honestly at this point isn't surprising, knowing Death Battle. But yeah, starting off with the Hydra poison, like honestly, directly comparing it to like the Scorpion Demon's poison, which like explicitly states that it hurts Buddha, is just like it's just amazing to me at this point. Um, Comparing, like even just comparing both deities, Greek gods, they don't even hold a candle to Buddha. Like at most, like even getting like the Greek gods anywhere near Buddha's power range, like you'd have to bring in a lot of like kind of guesswork in there, like assuming that they're concepts, or like even like trying to connect it to Platonism. Um, so yeah, like just the explicit power gap there. Trying to compare both poisons is like Splash said, very blatant name fallacy. Very kind of kindergarten level of scaling. And then on a bigger scale, just the lack of context and feats for both cosmology. Like I said before, and you guys should know as well, they downplay pretty much. They pretty much downplay every piece of fiction that they come across. They leave out plenty of context. They leave out plenty of a lot of the source material that really kind of shows you who really would win in these situations. For both like the Greek cosmology, I've done my own personal research on it. It's pretty packed. You know, like by no means are the Greeks like slouches, but like comparing that to like a composite verse with Taoism, Confucianism, and Buddhism, explicitly one of like the strongest mythologies slash religions like out there, like even in the whole of fiction. Not trying to offend any Buddhists saying like your religion is yada yada, but like Buddhism is like that broke. So like I just think like leaving out this context in either case is just not really fair. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'd agree. You obviously have to give context to the two for proper scaling. So definitely could have used better scaling in this context. But I mean, overall, it's not the worst episode they've dropped, and it is cool to see mythology featured on Death Battle. Personally,
Yeah.
yeah, personally for me, one of my who will win battles coming up will be Kratos versus Sun Wukong. So that'll be fun to see. But yeah, they're a lot stronger than given credit for here, so that's one of the big reasons why we did this collab. But make sure you guys check out Reality Spine's channel. Again, he's big into mythology and covers it frequently, and I would heavily suggest you go check that out. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. It's been your boy Jobbers and Goons, and we will see y'all later. Peace.
Peace.